wondering if anyone else has ever thought about the coolest cymbal choke. First, in case you're not a musician, a cymbal choke is when a drummer hits the cymbal and instead of letting it ring or sustain, they grab it with their hand to cut it short. So what's the coolest use of a cymbal choke? For us, there's always only ever been one answer, and we'll get to that. But we must acknowledge all of the drummers out there that are splashing, hatting, crashing, and riding. There's some amazingly creative chokers out there, and we're big fans of the many heavy hitters, Bonham, Pert, Baker, Collins, Rich, Powell, and so on, but only one really choked it. This honor that we bestow hasn't changed in over 30 years. We still have not heard a better use of a choke than by this guy, Alex Van Halen. First of all, his band was the epitome of pure live performance energy on a studio record, and that helps. Not to mention his brother, he was kind of a big deal. And of course, these two guys, they made the perfect meal you could choke on. For this dinner party, and it was one hell of a party back then, we need to revisit 1978 when Van Halen released their debut self-titled album on February 10th. They didn't bother to waste any time with appetizers. They presented you with the main course as the first track on this vinyl plate of awesomeness. The song we're referring to is, of course, Runnin With The Devil, and if we haven't already beat this meal metaphor to death, it's the dessert you're gonna choke on. The foundation for the sweet use of a cymbal is saved until toward the end of the song. It's a perfect example as to how to use an instrumental technique, not simply as an everyday embellishment, but as an essential compositional device. Throughout the earlier parts of this song, this moment is implied, but it's not realized until the end. So many musicians at times have overused their abilities to add an excessive amount of notes and flourishes, so it's kind of refreshing when something as carefully crafted as this just makes sense. Now let's take a listen to an example of the preceding use of the cymbal crash when it's allowed to ring during Eddie Van Halen's main guitar riff. When you get a chance to listen to the entire song, you'll notice the use of the cymbal crash seems to increase throughout it as we keep on revisiting Eddie's guitar riff. And then eventually, as it comes back around one more time, as you can hear David Lee Roth tell us, Alex Van Halen brilliantly decides to choke his crash to fuse it with the percussive bass line. Now let's hear what all the hype is about. Here is Alex Van Halen choking it at the end of Runnin With The Devil. Now that's a sonic gem.